I helped Dad clean. These were the first words he said. Thin voice, innocent, as if telling me about a Sunday afternoon helping her father in the garage. But his hands shake on the confessional's wooden grid, and there was something in the way he repeated that phrase, as if decorated, as if someone had taught him to say just that. I've been a priest for 23 years. I heard everything. Adulteries, thefts, lies that destroyed whole families. But that Thursday night, when that boy entered the confessional, it was different, because he was only 9 years old, and his voice was innocent, but his words were not his. They were the reflection of a guilty adult. That confession made me cold, because what a child said should never have been said. It was almost 7 at night. The church was empty, silent. The smell of candle wax still hovered in the air, mixed with that old wooden odor and cold incense. The light of the stained glasses no longer came in. Everything was dark. I was about to close the confessional when I heard the steps, small, dragged, as if someone was afraid to move forward. I lifted my eyes and saw a low shadow crossing the hallway. A child, alone. This was already strange. Children never come alone to the confessional at night. They come with their parents, with the catechist, with someone. But he was alone. He stopped in front of the dark wood door. He stood there for a few seconds as if gathering courage, then entered. I sat next to me, the wooden grid between us. Almost total darkness. I could only see his outline. Small, lean, short hair. He wore a blue t-shirt and dirty sneakers. His hands held the grid, and I saw that they were shaking. "Good night, my son," I said with a calm voice I always use. He did not respond immediately, just breathed, fast, as if it had run, or as if you were afraid. "Are you well?" I asked. He nodded, but I said nothing. I waited. I always hope. After a while, confession always comes. I wanted to talk to you," he said finally. The voice was thin, but firm, as if rehearsed. "You can say, my son. I'm here to hear you." He took a deep breath. I helped Dad clean. Silence. I waited for him to continue, but he did not continue. He just stared at the grid. "Cleaning what?" I asked carefully. "The house," he replied, too fast, as a decorated answer. "And does it bother you?" I asked. He shook his head. "No, I just wanted to tell. Something was wrong. Children do not come to the confessional alone at night to tell that they helped their father clean the house. Not with that voice. Not with those hands shaking in the grid." "Did your father ask you to come here?" I asked. He hesitated, then nodded. He said it was important, that I had to tell the priest. My stomach froze. "Tell what exactly?" He looked down. "That I helped him, cleaning, and that I didn't tell anyone. 9-year-olds don't talk like that. They do not use these words. I didn't tell anyone. This is an adult sentence, of someone who knows there is a secret, and that this secret needs to be kept." "My son," I said slowly, "what did you clean?" He didn't answer, just stared at her own hands. "Was it something that broke?" I insisted. He shook his head. "No." "Was it something someone poured?" Silence. "After, there was a lot," he whispered. "Much what?" "Red." My whole body was rigid. "Red?" I repeated, trying to keep his voice calm. He nodded. "On the floor, on the wall." "Nah." He stopped, swallowed dry. "At the bedroom door." I said nothing for a moment. I just breathed. "Bottom." I tried to sue what he was saying. I tried to find another explanation. Ink, juice, anything. But I knew. I already knew. "And your father? Did he ask you to help?" I asked carefully. "He said it was important, that I was a big boy, that I could help. And you helped." He nodded. I took the cloth, and I passed where he sent. His voice was so normal, so innocent, as if I was telling me about a homework. But his hands would not stop shaking. "Where was your mother?" I asked. He was quiet, very quiet. Then with a lower voice, "She wasn't. Had she left?" He shook his head. "No. Was she at home?" He didn't answer, just looked at me through the grid, and in his eyes, there was something that a 9-year-old should not have. Fear, not afraid of being punished. Fear of knowing. "My son," I said, trying to keep my voice steady, "I need you to tell me, what happened before you help your dad clean?" He took a deep breath. "They fought." "Your father and mother?" He nodded. "They fought a lot." "Shouted?" I heard from my bed. "And then, it was quiet." "How long was it quiet?" He shrugged. "Very. I was afraid, so I got up." "And how far was it?" "To the hall." "And what did you see?" "Silence. A long silence. Heavy." He looked at his feet. "Dad was on his knees." "On the floor?" He nodded. "And Mom?" He didn't answer. He only closed his eyes, and I saw a tear run down his face. "She was sleeping," he whispered. "Sleeping where?" "On the floor." My heart fired. "And she woke up?" He shook his head, slowly. "No." "Did Dad try to wake her up?" He didn't answer, only kept looking down. He just looked at me, and I said I had to help. I felt cold cross my body. "And you helped?" He nodded. I took the cloth and cleaned where he sent. "And then?" Then he said Mom had gone, that she wasn't going back, and that I couldn't tell anyone. Why? He looked at me. Because otherwise they would take me too. I couldn't speak. I just looked at that boy, that 9-year-old boy, who still believed he was helping his father, who still thought he had done the right thing, and that carried a secret that no child should carry. My son, I started, but he interrupted me. The priest can acquit everything, right? His voice was hopeful, innocent. My father said if I came here and tell everything, God would forgive. He looked at me with those tears-filled eyes. So I'm forgiven, right, Father? I didn't know what to say, because that boy was not to blame. He had not committed any sin, but he believed it. And who put it in his head? It was the Father himself. You didn't do anything wrong, my son, I said, a choked voice. But I helped. You are a child. You obeyed your father. This is not a sin. He looked at me confused. But Dad said I had to ask for forgiveness. What you need forgiveness. It's not you. He was silent, processing. Then with a lower voice, so, can I leave? Did you come alone? He shook his head. Daddy is out there, waiting. My blood froze. Is he waiting in the church? In the car? Across the street? I looked at the grid. To that boy. That had been used, manipulated, brought here to, what? To transfer the guilt? To create an alibi? To make it seem like the child herself knew and accepted? My son, I said, choosing the words carefully. I need you to tell me something. He looked at me. Do you remember the name of the street where you live? He nodded. Acacia Street, number 42. I wrote it mentally. And, your mother, do you know where she went? He shook his head. Dad said she left, that she didn't want us anymore. And do you believe that? He hesitated. Then, with almost inaudible voice, she didn't take her bag. My heart squeezed. Like this? Her bag? It's hung in the kitchen chair. She never leaves without her bag. He looked at me, and for the first time, I saw that he knew, not with the mind, but with the heart. He knew the mother was not gone. He knew that she would never come back, but he could not admit. Because if you admit, I would have to admit the rest. Can I go now, Father? He asked, his voice shaky. Your father, does he hurt you? He shook his head. No, he just gets angry sometimes. But he said that now it will be all right, that now it's just me and him. He got up, small, fragile, with that weight on the shoulders. Thank you, Father, he said, and left. I stayed there, sitting in the dark, with his words echoing in my head. I helped Dad clean. It was very red. She was sleeping on the floor. She didn't take the bag. And then I saw something he had dropped on the floor of the confessional, a small piece of folded paper. I opened, and my blood froze, because inside there was a drawing made with color pencil, a drawing of a house with 3 people, a man, a woman, and a child. But the woman, it was lying down, and around her, red scribbles, many red scribbles, and below, with the pieces pie for a child, Mom went to sleep. I held that drawing in my hands, and I felt my body tremble, not cold, of something worse, because that drawing was not just a drawing, it was a confession, the confession that boy did not know he was doing. Mom went to sleep. 9-year-old children do not draw death, they draw castles, dinosaurs, superheroes. But that boy, he drew the truth, and colored her red. I got up from the confessional. My legs were weak. I walked to the church door and opened it slowly. The street was dark. Only the yellow light of a post illuminated the sidewalk. And there, on the other side, it was the car, a gray sedan, old, with the painting peeled on the hood, and inside it, a shadow, one man, sitting on the driver's seat, waiting. I saw the boy cross the street, small, alone. He looked back once, as if he wanted to make sure I was still there. Then he opened the car door, and entered. I should have done something at that moment, shouted, run, prevented him to get into that car, but I stayed there, stopped, paralyzed, because I wasn't sure. I just had clues, words of a child, a drawing, and a cold in the stomach that told me that something was very, very wrong. The car called, the lights light up, and he left, slowly, as if I was not in a hurry, as if everything was normal. I closed the church door, I locked up, and I stayed there in the dim light looking at the drawing that still held in his hands. Mom went to sleep, red scribbles around her, many scribbles, as if she were drowned in them. I returned to the confessional. I sat down, and I started thinking, to process, because when you're a priest, you hear many things, lies, truths, half-truths, and you learn to distinguish, learn to hear not only what is said, but what is hidden. That boy said he helped his father clean. That had very red, on the floor, on the wall, at the bedroom door. He said his parents fought, which then was quiet, and that, when he got out of bed, the mother was sleeping on the floor, and never woke up. He said his father was on his knees, next to her, and then, the father said she was gone, but she didn't take the bag. Women do not leave without the bag, they don't leave without document. No money, no cell phone. Women who leave, they take everything, or at least, they take something. And there was another detail, a detail that I had hardly noticed. When the boy talked about cleaning, he said he took the cloth and passed where the father sent, not where he wanted, where the father sent, as if he was being instructed, guided, controlled. That father was not just covering something, he was using his son, causing the boy to become part of the secret, part of the crime, so that if anyone discovered one day, the boy was to blame too. And I couldn't speak. I took my phone. I looked at the screen. I thought about calling the police, but what would I say? A boy came to confess and said he helped his father clean something red. This is no evidence. This is a confession protected by secrecy, and the confidentiality of the confessional is sacred, even when what was said should not have been kept. But there was a breach, a small breach. If someone's life was in danger, if there was an imminent risk, I could break secrecy. But was the mother already dead, missing, or was she really gone? And was I creating a story that didn't exist? I needed more. I needed to know. So I did something I had never done before, something that goes against everything a priest must be. I went to my office, I turned on the computer, and I searched. Rua das Acacias, 42, disappearance, woman. Nothing. No news, no public police report, nothing. I tried again. Rua das Acacias, domestic violence, still nothing. But then, I thought of something else. If that man had really done what I was imagining, he was not going to leave traces. I wasn't going to call the police. I was not going to denounce the disappearance. He was going to act as if nothing had happened, as if the wife simply left home, and no one would question. Why, who questions? Neighbors? They see fights, they hear shouts, but rarely interfere. Family? Perhaps. But what if her family lived far away? Or if they were away? Friends? What if she didn't have close friends? Women disappear every day, and many times, no one notices, until it is too late. I turned off the computer. I was sitting there in the dark, thinking, what was that father doing now? Taking the son back to that house, to the place where did it happen? And what was he going to do with the boy? Was going to keep manipulating him? Making him believe he was an accomplice? What if counting? Would it be taken away too? Children believe in their parents. They believe everything their parents say, because the parents are everything. They are protection, security, true. And when a father uses this confidence to hide a crime, he is not just committing a crime, he is destroying a child's soul. I got up, I put on my coat, and I left. I know I shouldn't have gone. That should have expected, thought better, maybe talked to someone, but I couldn't. I couldn't stand still, because whenever I closed my eyes, I saw that boy, that innocent voice. I helped Dad clean, and I saw that drawing. Mom went to sleep. Acacia Street was 20 minutes of the church, an old neighborhood, small houses, low walls, narrow street with few light poles. I stopped the car some houses before number 42. I turned off the motto, and I was there, watching. The house was small, painted from a faded beige, windows with grids, rusty iron gate, a light on in the room, and the gray car parked in front. I waited, I don't know how long, 10 minutes, maybe 15, and then I saw a shadow pass through the window, a man, high, wide shoulders, walking from side to side. After, another shadow, smaller, the boy. He passed the window too, fast, as if going to the room. Everything seemed normal. Outside, that was just a house, with a father and a son, living their lives. But I knew that inside those walls, there was a secret, a buried secret, literally. So I saw something that made my blood freeze. The garage door was ajar, and for the crack, I could see there was a shovel, leaning against the wall, with fresh soil still stuck to the blade. And next to bags, black garbage bags, several, stacked. I couldn't breathe, because fresh land, it meant something had been buried, recently, very recently. And those bags, what was inside them? Clothes, lençóis, things that could not be washed, things they had very red. I should have called the police at that time, should have denounced, but I wasn't sure yet. I had no evidence, only suspicions, and a shovel with fresh soil. I was about to leave when the front door opened. My heart fired. I lowered myself in the car seat. I peered into the glass. It was him, the father, high, lean, face marked by the beard to do. He wore a stained white T-shirt and sweatpants. He went out to the sidewalk. He lit a cigarette and stayed there, smoking, looking at the street. For a moment, I thought he had seen me. I knew I was there, but he didn't look toward me. Only there was there, smoking, thinking, with the face empty, no emotion. After a few minutes, he threw a cigarette on the floor, stepped on, and came back inside, closed the door, and the room light went out. I stayed there for a few more minutes. Then, I turned on the car, and I left. When I got home, it was past midnight. I sat on the bed, still dressed, still with the coat, and I looked at the drawing I had brought with me. Mom went to sleep. What did I do now? Did you denounce without proof? Wait, was it back there? Or did you trust that God was going to solve? I had no answer. I only had that weight in the chest, that certainty that a woman was dead, and that a boy was being used to hide it. I lay down, but I couldn't sleep, because whenever I closed my eyes, I saw that house, that garage, that shovel with fresh soil, and those black bags, and then I remembered something the boy had said, something I had not paid attention on time. He said his father was on his knees, next to the mother, on the floor, but he didn't say his father was crying. He didn't say his father was desperate. He just said that the father was on his knees, and it made me think, what does a man do on his knees next to a body? Does he check if the person is alive? Or he checks out if he's dead? And if he was checking if he was dead, it is because he made it happen. I got up. I went to the kitchen. I took a glass of water, and that's when my phone rang. It was 2 in the morning. No one calls a priest at 2 in the morning, unless something happened. I took the phone. Unknown number. I hesitated. Then I answered. Hello? Silence. Just breathing. Heavy. Hello? I repeated. And then a voice. Low. Whispering. Father. It was him. The boy. My son. Are you okay? I asked, trying to keep calm. I need to talk to the Lord. He can talk. I am here. Silence. After I lied, my stomach rolled. What do you mean, did you lie? I didn't help just clean. My voice failed. What else did you do? He took a deep breath, and with a trembling voice and whispered, I helped dig. I helped dig. These words were suspended in the air, like smoke, heavy, impossible to ignore. Where are you now? I asked, trying to keep my voice firm. In my room, he whispered. Does your father know you're calling me? No, he's sleeping. Did you get his phone? It's the only one you have here. Mom had one, but Dad played away. Of course you played, because phones leave traces, messages, connections, locations, and a man who hides a body, you cannot leave traces. My son, I said slowly, you need to tell me everything, from the beginning. I heard him take a deep breath, as if gathering courage. After I cleaned, Dad said I had to help with one more thing. What? Silence. After, he said we had to take Mom to a safe place. Safe place. What a horrible word. Distorted. Used to make a child believe he was protecting someone, when it was actually Barry Rando. And where did you take her? I asked. For the backyard of the backyard. My stomach rolled. And what did you do there? He was quiet. For so long I thought the call had fallen. But then, we dug. 9-year-old children do not dig. Not the way he was talking. They play on earth, they make sandcastles, they plant flowers, but they don't dig pits. Did your father give you a shovel? I asked. He gave a little one. He said I was strong, that I could help. And you dug. I fell. My hand trembled holding the phone. How long? A long time. My arms hurt. But Dad said I couldn't stop. That had to be deep. And was it? It was. How much? He hesitated. I don't know. I was smaller than the hole. I closed my eyes. I took a deep breath. I tried not to imagine, but it was impossible. That boy, in the middle of the night, in the backyard, digging a larger hole than him, next to the mother's own body. And after you finished, what happened? I asked with a voice almost disappeared. He swallowed dry. Dad, he took Mom and put her inside. Did you see? I tried not to look, but as I saw it. What? What did you see? He started to cry, softly, as if I was afraid to make noise. She was wrapped in a sheet, the sheet of their bed, the white with flowers. Details, always the details. They are the ones who make it all real. A white sheet with flowers, something common, daily life, now transformed into a shroud. And then, I insisted, even though I know each word was hurting him. Then we covered. With the earth? With the earth. And how long did it take? I don't know. My father told me to go fast. That had to end before the sun born. Before the sun is born. As if daylight could reveal the crime. As if the darkness protected. And in a way, protected. Because no one saw. No one heard. No one knew. Except that man. And that boy. When did you break up? What did your father do? I asked. He smoothed the earth. He took some leaves and spread over it. And then, he looked at me. And what did you say? His voice was even lower. He said I was a man now. That I had done the right thing. And that, if I told someone, they would take me away from him. Forever. Manipulation. Pure and simple. That father was not just hiding a body. He was holding his son to the crime. Causing him to feel it was an accomplice. That if the truth came to light, he would also be punished. My son, I said, trying to choose the right words. You didn't do anything wrong. You were a child obeying your father. This is not your fault. But I fell, priest. I helped. You didn't know what you were doing, but now I know. Silence. A heavy silence. Loaded. Why are you telling me now? I asked. He took a deep breath. Because I can't sleep. Every time I close my eyes, I see Mom, on the floor, wrapped in that sheet, and you want it to stop. I want her to come back. My heart squeezed, because that boy had not yet understood, or maybe he understood, but refused to accept. My son, your mother won't come back, I said, a choked voice. But Dad said she left, that she chose to go. She didn't choose. Silence. Then with a trembling voice, so, is she there? In the yard? I didn't know what to answer, because if I said yes, I would be confirming something he still didn't want to accept. But if I said no, I would be lying. I think so, I said finally, and I heard him sob. Father, he said after a while, what do I do? You need to tell someone, to the police, for an adult of trust. But my father said, your father lied. You will not be taken away. You will be protected. What if no one believes in me? Good question. Because who believes in a 9-year-old who says they buried his own mother? No evidence, without witnesses, no visible body, just her word, against the father's word. I believe you, I said. And it was true. Each word, every detail, each pause, everything at that confession shouted truth. Father, can you come here? He asked, his voice desperately. Now, please. I'm afraid. Fear of what? For my father. He's different. Since Mom left. Different how? He doesn't sleep well. Stay up all night, looking at the window, as if I had waiting for someone. Blame, or fear, or both, because men who commit crimes like this never rest. They live waiting for someone to find out that someone beats the door. May someone fall too deep. My son, I said, I'll help you, but you need to do something for me. What? Keep that phone with you. Don't let your father see. And if something happens, if you feel that you are in Perigda, you call me, no matter the time. Okay, do you promise? I promise. I was about to hang up when he said, Father, yes, there's one thing I didn't tell. My blood froze. Because you always have. There is always something that has not been told. A hidden detail. One last layer. You can say, I said. He hesitated. Then with almost inaudible voice, when we were digging, I heard a noise. What kind of noise? A noise. From inside the sheet. I couldn't speak. I couldn't breathe. What do you mean? From inside the sheet? I asked, my voice failing. It was like a moan, softly, as if she had tried to talk. And did you tell your father? I told you. I said, Dad, Mom is calling. And what did he say? Silence. A terrible silence. He said it was just the wind. Just the wind. But it wasn't. Because wind does not moan. Wind doesn't try to speak. Wind does not come from inside a sheet wrapped in a body. And then? I asked, almost without voice. Then, the noise stopped. My God. Because that meant that she was still alive when they started digging. She was still alive, and they buried it like that. My son, I said, but my voice disappeared. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to process that. Father, he whispered, did I kill my mother? And in that question, in that fragile whisper of a 9-year-old child, it was all the pain of the world. No, I said firmly, you didn't kill anyone. You were used, manipulated. You are a victim. But I heard her, and I did nothing. You were a child, you didn't know, your father knew, he is the culprit, only him. But I knew these words were not going to cure him. It was going nothing, because that boy was going to carry this for the rest of his life. The memory of that moan, that noise he heard, and ignored, because the father sent it. I need to hang up, he said suddenly. I heard a noise. Your father? I think so. Hides the phone, and call me if you need it. Okay. And the call fell. I was there, sitting in the dark of my house, with the phone still in hand, and with that revelation echoing in my head, a moan, from inside the sheet. She was trying to talk. The noise stopped. She was not dead. Not completely. Not when they wrapped it. Not when they carried it. Maybe not even when they put her in the hole. She was dying, and they buried it like that. Alive, conscious, attached to that sheet, in that land. I got up. I walked to the sink, and I vomited. Not disgusting, but of horror, of impotence. Why could I do it now? The woman was dead, buried, and the boy carried a weight that no child should carry. I washed my face. I looked at the mirror, and I saw my own reflection, pale, tired, haunted. Because confessor or not, father or not, I now knew. I knew what had happened in that house, in that yard, in that deep hole dug by small hands, and I knew I needed to do something. But what? Break confidentiality. Denounce. What if I was wrong? What if it was just the imagination of a traumatized child? And if, no, there was no and if. There was a shovel with fresh soil. There were black bags in the garage. There was a drawing with red scribbles. And there was that moan, that damn moan that the boy heard. And I would never stop listening again. I took the phone. I looked at the screen. I thought about calling the police. But not yet. Not yet. Because if I called now, and if they were there, and the father found out that it was the boy who told, what would he do with the boy? This question froze me, because a man capable of burying his living wife, I was capable of anything. So I waited. I sat on the bed, with the phone in hand, waiting, praying, so that that boy would not call again. Because if he called, it would mean something had gone wrong. And then, at 3:40 in the morning, the phone rang. I answered. Hello? I whispered. My heart fired. Silence. Only breathless breath. My son? And you? Father. His voice was shaky, terrified. What happened? He woke up. My blood froze. Did your father see you with the phone? No. I hid under the pillow, but he's walking around the house. I hear the steps. Does he go to your room at night? Pause. Sometimes. He opens the door, and just looking at what? For me. As if I had checked if I'm still here. Check. As if the boy were flee, or disappear, or count. Listen, I said, keeping my voice low. You need to be calm. You can't realize that you are scared. I'm trying. I know you are brave, very brave. I heard him sniff, as if holding the cry. Father, there's something else I need to tell. Now, because if I don't count now, I will never tell you. There was something in his voice, something definitive, and that was the last confession. The true, you can say, I said. I'm listening. He took a deep breath, and then, it started, that night, when they fought. Yes, I wasn't in bed, not all the time. I frowned. Like this? I woke up before, when they started screaming. And you went there? I went to their bedroom door. She was ajar. And what did you see? Silence. A heavy silence. Suffocating. They were fighting over a letter, he said finally. What a letter? A letter that Mom found. In Daddy's drawer. She was screaming, saying he had lied, that he had done something horrible. And your father? What did he say? He told her to shut her mouth, that she didn't understand anything, that if she told someone, he would end everything. My mind was running. A letter. Something the father hid. Something serious enough to kill by. And what was in the letter? I asked. I don't know, I couldn't see, but my mother said that. Who had another name, a woman's name? Betrayal. It always starts with betrayal, but it rarely ends only in it. And then? I insisted. Then, my father took the letter from her hand, and tore. And my mother, she started to cry, and said he was leaving. I was going to take me and go to Grandma's house. And your father left? Pause. No, of course. Because men who kill don't let their victims go away. What did he do? I asked, already knowing the answer. He grabbed her, by the arm, strong. She shouted. He asked him to let go, and let it out? No. I could imagine the scene, the woman trying to get rid of it, the man holding hard, the anger growing, the uncontrolled. And then? I asked, with a voice almost disappeared. So, he pushed her. Where did you push? Against the wall. She hit her head. I heard the noise. A noise. There is always a noise. A sound that marks the exact moment when everything changes. And did she fall? I asked. She fell, stayed on the floor, without moving. And your father? He stood, looking at her, for a long time. How long? I don't know. It looked a lot. That moment when the perpetrator realizes what he did, where you see the body on the floor, and decide to call for help, or hide. And what did he do after? I asked. He knelt next to her. He put his hand around her neck, checking the wrist. I think so. And was it? Pause. He had. Then she was alive. At that moment, she was alive. And what did he do when he realized she was alive? Silence. A long silence. Terrible. Father, he whispered. He can talk. He took the pillow. My stomach rolled, because I knew what came next. I knew. And where did you put it? I asked, even though I know. In her face. God, my God. And did he hold? My voice was failing. He held. How long? I don't know. I couldn't look. I came back to my room, and covered my head with the blanket. That boy, that 9-year-old boy, he saw his father kill his mother, and could do nothing. And then? I asked, trying to continue. Then, everything was quiet, for a long time, until Dad opened the door of my room. And were you awake? I pretended to sleep. And what did he do? He stayed there, stopped, looking at me, and then, he said my name. And did you answer? I had to answer, otherwise he would know that I was awake. And what did he say? The boy's voice was even lower. He said, son, we have a problem. A problem? What a horrible word. Reduce a murder to a problem. And you got up? I asked. I got up. He took me to their room, and I saw it. What? Mom, on the floor, with the sheet on top. Had he already wrapped her? Already. And what did he say to you? The boy started to cry, softly, as if you didn't want anyone to hear. He said, Mom had fallen, who had hit his head, and that she had not survived. But you saw, don't you? You saw him suffocating her. I saw, but he didn't know I had seen it. And you didn't tell you? I could not, I was afraid. Fear of him? Fear of everything. Of course, because children are afraid. Fear of losing the only father they have. Fear of being alone. Fear of being guilty. Fear of not being accredited. And that's when he asked you to help clean up, I asked. He was. He said we had to clean everything, that no one could know, and you wiped it. I cleaned, and then you dug. Then we dug. Everything fits now, each piece, every detail, the fight, the push, the pillow, the sheet, the cleaning, the pit, and that boy, in the center of everything. Witness, forced accomplice, victim, my son, I said with a choked voice. Why didn't you tell that before? Because I thought it was my fault. Why? Because if I had shouted, if I had I'm something, she wouldn't have died. Blame, the guilt he should not carry, but carried. Because this is what manipulative parents do. They transfer the blame. They make the victim feel responsible. You were a child, I said firmly, a child of 9 years. You couldn't have prevented anything, but I saw it, and I did nothing, because you were afraid, and that is normal. But now she's there, in the yard, because of me. No, not because of you, because of him. But I knew these words would not erase the blame. It was going nothing. That boy was going to carry this forever. Father, he said suddenly. Yes, there is one more thing. Always has. There is always one last thing. What? I asked, preparing for the worst. The letter my father ripped. Yes, I took the pieces. My heart fired. Did you get it? I got it later, when he was in the bath. I added the pieces, and I kept. Where did you keep? Within my mother's Bible, which she read every night before bed. Proof. He had proof. And you still have that? I asked, almost without voice. I have. It's hiding in my closet. And you read? Pause. Lee. And what did you say? He took a deep breath. I said that my father had another family, another woman, and another son, another family, bigamy, or something close to that. And more, I insisted. He said that the other woman was pregnant again, and that she was going to tell my mother everything if he didn't assume. So that was it. A secret that was going to destroy everything. And to protect this secret, he destroyed his wife. My son, I said with a firm voice, this letter is very important. You need to keep it. And when the time comes, you will need to deliver it to someone. Who? For the police. But my father said, your father lied. You will not be arrested. You will be protected. And he will pay for what he did. I heard him take a deep breath, as if processing. Father, you think my mother? He stopped. What? What does she forgive me? Because I didn't shout? Because I didn't help her? My heart broke out. Because that boy, I still thought he needed to be forgiven. Your mother has nothing to forgive you, I said with a choked voice. She loved you, and she knows you were just a child, that you did the best you could. But there is no but. You are innocent, always has been. I heard him sob, softly, and then he said something that destroyed me. I wish she had taken me along. I closed my eyes. I took a deep breath. I tried not to cry, because a priest doesn't cry. A priest, here, and carries. She didn't want to leave you, I said. She wanted to protect you, and that's why you need to be strong now. For her. How? Telling the truth, keeping this letter, and waiting for the right moment. And when will the right time be? Good question, because I didn't know. I just knew that, at some point, that secret was going to surface, and that boy would need to be ready. You'll know, I said. When the time comes, you will know. I was about to continue when I heard a noise on the other side of the line, a door opening. He's coming, the boy whispered, terrified. Hold down. Shuts off now. Father, I'm afraid. I know, but you need to be strong. Pretends to be sleeping and hides the phone. Okay, and call me tomorrow. In the morning, when he leaves. Okay, and the call fell. I was there, sitting in the darkness, with the phone in hand, and with that confession echoing in my head. The boy had seen his father kill his mother, and had been forced to help hide the body. And now he had the test, the torn card, hidden within a Bible, the Bible of the dead mother. I needed to do something. But what? If I denounced now, the boy would be in danger. If I waited, the proof could be destroyed. So I made a decision. I got dressed quickly. I took the keys from the car, and I left. I don't know why I went. Maybe to watch. Maybe to make sure the boy was fine. Maybe because I couldn't stand still. I arrived at the Acacia Street 20 minutes later. I parked further this time, where I could see the house, but not to be seen. Everything was dark, silent, as if nothing had happened, as if that were just a normal house, with a normal family. But I knew the truth. I was there, for hours, watching, waiting, praying. And then, when the son started to be born, I saw. The front door opened, and the father left, alone. He was carrying something, a suitcase, small, and got into the car, called, and left. Where was he going, and why? Alone. Where was the boy? I waited a few more minutes. Then, I got out of the car. I crossed the street, and I went to the house. I knocked on the door. Once, 2, 3. No one answered. I tried the doorknob. It was unlocked. I pushed the door, slowly. Is there anyone? I called. Silence. I entered. The house was empty, silent, with that mold smell and something else. Something sweet, nauseating. I walked around the room. By the kitchen, everything was too tidy, too clean, as if someone had tried to erase any trail. I climbed the stairs. I went to the boy's room. I opened the door. The bed was made, the organized toys all in place, but he wasn't there. I went to the closet. I opened and I looked, and there it was, in the background, under a pile of clothes, the Bible. I caught my hands trembling. I opened, and inside, the pieces of letter, torn, but still readable. Lee, each word, each line, and everything the boy had said. It was true. There was another name, another address, another life, and a threat. If you don't assume, I'll tell her everything. Your wife deserves to know who you really are. I closed the Bible. I kept in my pocket, and I left. Because now I had the test, and now I needed to find that boy, before it was too late. I left that house with the Bible in my pocket, and with an emptiness in the chest, because the boy was not there, and the father had come out with a suitcase. Where? To the other woman's house to escape, or to make the boy disappear too? This last question froze me, because a man who kills his wife, and who uses his son to hide the crime, what would he do if he realized that his son knew too much, that the son had kept the letter, that the son had called a priest in the middle of the night? I returned to the car. I sat down. I took a deep breath, and took the phone. I called the number the boy had used, called once, two, three. No one answered. I tried again, and again, until, finally, someone answered. But it was not the boy. It was a man's voice, serious, tired. "Who is it?" the voice asked. My blood froze, because I recognized it was him, the father. I called the wrong number, I said, trying to disguise my voice. "You didn't care, priest." My heart stopped. "How do you know that?" "I know. My son told me." On silence, a heavy silence, threatening. "Where is your child?" I asked, trying to keep my voice firm. He laughed, a low laugh, without humor, in a safe place. Who, to him, away from people who keep putting an idea in his head, putting idea, as if the truth were an idea, as if the boy had not seen with his own eyes. "He needs to talk," I said. "He needs to tell what happened. He doesn't need anything. He is a child, and child obeys the father. Even when the father is a killer?" Silence, far away, heavy. "Watch out for what you say, father," he whispered, "because accusations without proof are just words. I have evidence." "He has?" he asked with an almost fun tone. "What evidence?" I shouldn't have said, but said. "The letter. I have the letter." I heard his breath change, get faster, heavier. "Where did you get it?" he asked, his voice tense. "In the house. In the Bible of your wife." "Did you invade my house?" "The door was open. You were not entitled, and you had no right to kill your wife." Silence. And then, he hung up. I was there, with the phone in hand, and with fear growing in the chest, because now he knew. I knew I had the test, and I knew. What would he do now? Would you run away? Would you come back to destroy evidence? Or would you do something with the boy? I called the police, this time without hesitation. "Police, what is the emergency?" I need to report a disappearance and a possible homicide." "Your name?" "Father Miguel, from the Church of Santa Teresa." "And what are you reporting?" I took a deep breath, and I told the boy who had come to the confessional, about the confession, about the missing mother, about the letter, above all, except the details of what was said within the confessional, because that was still protected by secrecy. Even if my conscience shouted to break this secrecy. "Do you have the address?" the attendant asked. "I have. Acacia Street, number 42. Let's send a car. Can you find us there?" "I can." And I hung up. 20 minutes later, I was back at that home, this time with 2 vehicles parked in front. Police entering, looking for. I got out of the car. A policeman approached me. "Are you the priest who called?" "I am." "Did you say there was a victim buried in the backyard?" "Yes." "Let's check. But you need to stay here." I waited, for hours, seeing the police go and go back, carrying equipment, digging, and then one of them came to me, with a serious face. "We found something," he said. "The body?" He nodded. "At the bottom of the backyard, superficially buried, wrapped in a sheet." I closed my eyes, because even knowing, listening confirmed was different. "And the boy?" I asked. "Did you find the boy?" "No. The house is empty. It seems that the father took him. Where? We don't know yet, but we issued a search warrant. Let's find them. Let's find them." As if it were simple, as if that father was not, at that very moment, taking his son away, to a place where no one could find them, or worse. No, I couldn't think about it. "The letter," I said, taking the Bible out of my pocket. "I found it in the house. It can help." The policeman took, opened, read the torn pieces. "That's important," he said. "Thanks, priest," and left. I was there, alone, in front of that house, while the police continued to work, and I thought about the boy, in his voice on the phone, in the words he said. I helped Dad clean. It was very red. I helped dig. I heard a noise from inside the sheet. Words that a 9-year-old should never have said. Words that carry an impossible weight to bear. And now, where was he? Still alive? Or, 3 days later, I received a call. It was the police. Father Miguel? Yes, we found the father. He was trying to cross the border to Paraguay. And the boy? Pause. I was with him. My heart fired. Is he okay? Physically, yes, but he's in shock. Don't talk. Does not respond. Just look, of course, because that boy had seen too much, too loaded, too lost. And the father? Arrested. Will answer for murder, and by use of minor to hide a crime. Did he confess? No, but with the body, the letter, and the testimony we hope to get the boy, there will be no denying the boy's testimony. That boy who had already been forced to hide a crime, now it would be forced to revive it, in a cold room, before strangers, retelling every detail, each moment. Can I visit him? I asked. The boy, I think so. He is in temporary shelter until we find a relative. When? Tomorrow, if you want. The next day I went. The shelter was a low building, painted with light yellow, with bars in the windows, and a garden in front. Safe place, but still, a prison. I was taken to a small room, with a table, 2 chairs, toys in the corner, and there he was, sitting, small, lean, with empty eyes. Hi, my son, I said, sitting in the chair in front. He looked at me, but I said nothing. Do you remember me? I asked. He nodded, slowly. I came to see how you are. Silence. Do you want to talk? He shook his head. I was there, in silence, because sometimes, silence is all we can offer. After a few minutes, he finally spoke, with a thin voice, weak. Is she alone now? My heart squeezed. Yes, my son. She is at peace. And does she forgive me? There's nothing to forgive. He looked down, but I didn't shout it. I didn't help. You were a child, you couldn't. But now everyone will know that I helped. And there it was, the real weight. Not the death of the mother, but the shame, the guilt, the fear of being judged. People will understand, I said, even though they know they might not understand, because the world is cruel, and sometimes victims are judged as accomplices. Father, he said, looking at me with those back eyes. Yes? Do you think that I can forget? I wanted to say yes, that time heals, that he was going to overcome, but I couldn't lie. No, I said, you won't forget, but you will learn to live with it, and one day, you will be able to forgive yourself. What if I can't? Then you are looking for me, and we talk. How many times do you need? He nodded, and for the first time, I saw a tear run down his face. I left that shelter with a heavy heart, because I knew that boy would never be the same, that he would carry that night forever, the noise of the moan, the weight of the shovel, the image of the mother wrapped in the sheet, and I would also carry, because confessor or not, when you hear something like this, you never forget. Today, 6 months later, the father awaits trial. The boy is with his maternal grandmother in another city, and the house of Acacia Street was sealed. But sometimes, when I'm alone in the confessional, I still hear, I helped Dad clean, and I think of how many other children are right now being used, manipulated, forced to carry secrets that are not theirs. I think how many are sitting somewhere, with blood in the hands that did not shed, with guilt on the shoulders they didn't deserve. And I think, if God really hears all the confessions, how does it support the weight? Because I'm just a man, and I don't know anymore. That night when that boy entered the confessional, he was only 9 years old, and his voice was innocent, but his words were not his. They were the reflection of a guilty adult. That confession marked me forever, because what a child said, it should never have been said. And me, I closed the confessional door that night, but the words still chase me to this day, because some secrets do not die in the confessional. They live in every silence, in each shadow, in every child who enters, and never leaves the same way again. And me, I continue here, listening, loading, because this is the cross I chose. But that night, in that damn night, I understood that some confessions, they are too heavy, even to God.